Hello everyone. As we all know too well, COVID-19 forced almost all retailers to adapt and pivot their offerings as lockdown measures impacted the flow of customers and the health of our employees. To ensure our sector did not get lost in the pandemic policy shuffle, CIPMA took a proactive approach. We immediately reached out to our members and other industry associations to determine which advocacy priorities we should focus on. We engaged all provinces and the federal government to advocate that our retail and gasoline stations must be designated as essential services so that we could remain open to serve and be there for our customers. Against the backdrop of the pandemic, politicians at all levels have continued to pursue environmental policy agendas. There's no question, the fuel marketing retail sector is changing. We want to assure you that we have a strong leadership team in place to drive this change by embracing the entrepreneurial spirit of our industry as we rise to the challenge of shifting to meet consumer and policymaker demands. On behalf of our Board of Directors and the team at CIPMA, I want to thank you for your continued membership and engagement in our association's activities. Now more than ever, unifying under a collective voice to advocate for the future of our market is critical.
Like many industries, the petroleum retail sector suffered market loss in the wake of the pandemic. Kent Group's 2020 National Retail Petroleum Site Census shows that as of December 31st, 2020, 11,908 retail gasoline stations were operating in Canada. This is a decrease of 29 sites over last year's survey result, a likely consequence of reduced demand for fuel as Canadians across the country were forced into isolation. But there are still indicators of market resilience. Canada boasts a host of different brands, 96 to be exact. Nearly half of the sites in Canada are price controlled by individual operators, with 79% of the market price controlled by non-refiner independent companies. We're also seeing growing adoption of EV charging stations at retail sites in response to government policy as marketers look to diversify their offerings to consumers in anticipation of a shift toward greater demand for low-carbon fuel transportation options. It continues to be a great pleasure to lead this organization, whose members have proven time and again their nimbleness to adapt to an ever-changing market. We have worked diligently to ensure our members are kept up to date on policy and industry issues impacting their business. This past year, we ramped up our frequency of communications to notify of shifting restrictions across the country through rapid communications outreach. We instituted a weekly policy roundup to keep a pulse on policy announcements, launched a monthly webinar series and a new podcast, both presented by National Energy Equipment, with the objectives of amplifying our association's voice and sharing the latest market trends and impacts to help our members make informed decisions.
Behind the scenes, we have continued to advocate for policy issues and opportunities with government representatives federally and regionally. This included engaging the Government of Canada to explore funding sources to support the development of bioblend retail infrastructure, to ensure credit generation and accumulation are maintained in the Clean Fuel Standard, and to influence policy thinking on the path to net zero by 2050 through active participation in the Federal Transportation Task Force. Regionally, we have proactively engaged in retail pricing reviews in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, and the Government of Quebec's low-carbon regulations, and Ontario's Cleaner Transportation Fuels regulations, and British Columbia's Fuel Transportation Act framework, and so much more. We will continue to keep you up to date on all the latest policy impacts to the sector through our weekly communications, monthly magazine, and biannual advocacy webinars.
In addition to all of these and other day-to-day outreach and lobbying activities, CIPMA also spearheaded the creation of the Canadian Transportation Alliance. The Alliance will be a fact-finding and research-driven forum to inform good policy and better educate consumers on the diversity of low-carbon transportation fuels available to them. Thank you to all our members for your ongoing support. We look forward to seeing you all in person next April at our Fuel Marketing Conference. Thank you for your membership.